Ever get that feeling, like the world is run by,
A bunch of goddamn shadow puppets.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Right into the belly of the beast.
Exactly. Where those entrepreneurs, everyone loves so much, get a little too cozy with the word mafia.
It's not even a conspiracy theory. It's basically how these people operate.
So we're looking at Endeavor Global.
The supposed nonprofit.
Right, nurturing entrepreneurs in all these emerging markets.
It all sounds so altruistic.
Right.
Until you realize they use that term mafia themselves.
To describe their network.
Yeah, their network's influence.
And when you really start digging into it.
Yeah, you see the implications for global finance, especially now with Bitcoin in the mix.
Exactly. And that's where this investigative series comes in. The chain of custody, the mafia, holding the elite's Bitcoin, our roadmap for this deep dive.
We're following the money, the connections, figuring out who's really calling the shots.
Who's really in control of this supposed financial revolution?
Exactly.
So let's get down to it.
Yeah.
Endeavor loves to talk about supporting entrepreneurs.
Of course.
But who's bankrolling all this? We're talking Pierre Omidyar, the eBay guy, and Edgar Bronfman Jr., Seagram's fortune.
That's where things get interesting. What's the real agenda? Is this genuine or is it, more strategic?
More strategic, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Bronfmans. Their family history.
Straight out of a gangster flick.
Yeah, deep ties to organized crime, especially back in the Prohibition era.
And now they're all about philanthropy.
Right. But let's be real.
You don't get that kind of wealth by playing nice.
Exactly.
These families, Bronfmans, Wexners, Crowns, they use their giving to influence policy, mold leaders,
It's like they're playing 4D chess while we're all stuck with checkers.
Exactly, shaping the world.
Shaping the goddamn world, yeah.
They choose the leaders, they fund the organizations.
Control the narrative.
It's about power.
Okay, now Omidyar.
Right, the classic Silicon Valley fairy tale.
Built eBay, made billions.
But then his philanthropic activities,
yeah, take a turn.
a hard left turn into some shady territory.
Shady's right.
We're talking funding regime change efforts, Ukraine back in 2014.
Right.
And supporting media outlets that bury stories that threaten the status quo.
Hold it, this is philanthropy. It's about, suppressing information, controlling revolutions.
That's the question, isn't it? Is it genuine social good, or is it a more insidious form of control? Something to think about as we dig deeper into Endeavor's web of influence.
Speaking of webs, Endeavor's got a massive presence in Latin America.
Huge.
They've got their fingers in all these companies shaping the digital landscape down there.
Mercado Libre, for example. It's like the Amazon of Latin America, founded by Marcos Galperin.
One of Endeavor's golden boys.
Right. Deep ties to PayPal, heavily involved in crypto.
It's like they're picking winners and losers in the whole tech game.
Like puppet masters.
And then you've got Globant, this other major player, bringing AI to the masses.
Google, Disney, all the big names.
And who's on their board?
Linda Rottenberg from Endeavor, and for a while, Reid Hoffman.
PayPal, LinkedIn, it's all
One big incestuous clusterfuck of power and influence.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder about their control, the direction they're steering things.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about Wences Paredes.
Patient zero of Bitcoin in Silicon Valley.
He founded Sapo, which is basically a Bitcoin bank, and
made a fortune.
And surprise, surprise.
Endeavor was there to help.
It's like they have a knack for picking the right people,
It's interesting. Sapo's not just storing Bitcoin. They're actively building a bridge between Bitcoin and the traditional financial system.
Specifically the US dollar.
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting. Zapo's advisory board.
It's a who's who of financial power brokers.
Dee Hock, founder of Visa, he believed Bitcoin was the future of
payments and governance.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Then there's John Reed, former CEO of Citibank. He said, banking is just bits and bytes.
Information is the real currency.
And of course, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, deeply involved in deregulating the financial industry.
Which paved the way for the 2008 crash.
Don't forget, he was also close with Jeffrey Epstein.
It's all connected.
The point is, this isn't just rich guys dabbling in Bitcoin. They're shaping how it gets integrated into the global system.
Exactly. They're playing the long game.
So you have these power players backing specific companies, pushing for Bitcoin's integration, but how are they doing it? What's their game plan?
Control, that's the game plan.
So they're dipping their toes into Bitcoin, but still clinging to their old power structures.
Exactly. They see the potential, but also the threat.
So they're trying to steer the revolution to benefit them.
Exactly. And their weapon of choice, stablecoins.
These dollar-pegged tokens.
Right. Creating a Bitcoin dollar hybrid system trying to keep the US dollar in control.
It's like trying to domesticate a rhino, harness the power, but don't disrupt their precious financial order.
Controlled demolition. They're dismantling the old system, but on their terms.
But why? The obsession with the US dollar. What's so special about it?
It's the world's reserve currency. It gives the US immense power.
So they're trying to maintain global dominance. The dollar stays king, even if it means using Bitcoin.
That's right. This Bitcoin dollar hybrid is their Trojan horse.
It's like a high-stakes poker game. And Bitcoin is their ace. But what they don't get is Bitcoin doesn't play by their rules.
The stakes are high, the future of money, global power, the fabric of society.
Let's go back to Endeavor for a second. This network of influential entrepreneurs, especially in Latin America. How does that tie into all this?
Endeavor is a crucial part. They're identifying and supporting the entrepreneurs building the infrastructure for this new system.
So they're creating like a generation of crypto capitalists, essentially indebted to them. It's a modern-day feudal system with Bitcoin as the fiefdom.
It's a subtle but effective form of control. They're fostering this ecosystem of interconnected companies, a self-reinforcing system.
Like a virus spreading through the entire system.
And then there's the government, the regulations forcing big Bitcoin holders to hoard dollars too.
Rigging the game even further.
Regulation, the final piece of the puzzle, solidifying the Bitcoin dollar system, making it inescapable.
A classic power grab.
Dressed up as consumer protection, it's a digital panopticon, a surveillance state where everything's tracked.
Big Brother's got a Bitcoin wallet now.
And Coinbase custody is the warden, holding the keys to the kingdom, the gatekeepers, in a system designed to eliminate the need for trust.
But can they really control Bitcoin? It's decentralized, borderless, resistant to censorship.
It was created to challenge the very system these power brokers represent.
A clash of ideologies. Old guard versus the decentralized future.
You could say that forces of centralization versus decentralization, control versus freedom.
The ultimate David versus Goliath story, but this time, David's a digital currency.
And the outcome will have huge consequences for all of us, the kind of world we live in, the nature of money, power in the 21st century.
This epic showdown, Bitcoin versus the financial world, who's going to win? What's going to happen?
It's not a simple win or lose. Bitcoin is already changing the game. They're trying to control the narrative, shape the integration to preserve their power.
Can they pull it off? Control something as disruptive as Bitcoin?
It's an open question. Bitcoin has a resilience, a momentum that's hard to contain. It's like a virus challenging the foundations of traditional finance, a force of nature.
So what's next? The future of this Bitcoin dollar system.
Hard to say for sure, but look at what they're doing. They're laying the groundwork for a new financial order.
Right. Stablecoins, regulations, Coinbase custody, they're the wardens of this new digital prison. But what else should we be watching?
Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, digital versions of national currencies issued and controlled by central banks.
So the government's answer to Bitcoin, control the tech while keeping their hold on the system.
Exactly. They see the potential but want to stay in control. CBDCs would give them ultimate power tracking transactions, censoring dissent, manipulating the economy.
Instead of embracing decentralization, they're doubling down on centralization, trying to put the genie back in the bottle.
They want a digital dollar that they can manipulate, just like the physical one. It's a power grab, a battle for the future of money.
But wouldn't that stifle innovation? Crush the potential of blockchain for a more open, equitable system?
That's what many Bitcoin proponents fear, that CBDCs will just replicate the problems. More surveillance, more control.
So we're back to control. Who controls the future of money? What kind of world are they building? Freedom and innovation, or surveillance and control?
It's the fundamental question. The answer's still being written. This battle between centralization and decentralization is far from over a war for the soul of humanity.
And this Bitcoin dollar system is at the heart of it all.
It's a hybrid of the old and the new, a microcosm of the larger struggle for control.
What we're seeing is a turning point.
A profound transformation, and the outcome is uncertain. We're at a crossroads. The path we choose determines the fate of generations.
So what can we do? How do we navigate this? How do we fight back?
Understand the dynamics, see the connections and motivations. Knowledge is power, especially when information is being manipulated. We need to see through the propaganda, decode the lies, expose the truth.
So we spent this whole deep dive, like really getting into this so-called Bitcoin revolution.
Sealing back the layers.
Yeah, and it's clear, they're trying to control it all.
They want to control the narrative. Absolutely.
And they're using everything they've got, stablecoins, regulations.
CBDCs, the whole 9 yards.
It's like a full court press for control. But can they really pull it off? Can they really cage Bitcoin?
That's the big question, isn't it?
This thing was built to be untamable, a digital beast, right?
Yeah.
You can't just control that.
Bitcoin, I mean, it's a fundamental challenge to their authority.
It's the opposite of everything they stand for.
Decentralization versus centralization, transparency versus opacity.
Freedom versus control, right?
Exactly.
So what can we do? We've exposed their game, but how do we fight back against these puppet masters?
Education, that's the first step.
Right. Knowledge is power.
We need to understand the technology, the philosophy, the potential of Bitcoin to, disrupt the status quo.
Become our own bankers, our own authorities.
For our own sovereign individual.
But it's not enough to just understand it ourselves, right? We've got to spread the word.
Absolutely. Wake people up to what's happening.
This isn't just about money.
It's about freedom, autonomy, the future.
The future of humanity.
We need to build a parallel system, a decentralized alternative to their rigged game.
Support the developers, the entrepreneurs, the activists.
Building the infrastructure for a new financial order.
So we're talking about a revolution, a digital uprising.
It's not about violence. It's about building a better system.
A more equitable, just world.
Empowering individuals, giving them control over their own financial destinies.
Opting out of their game, creating our own.
Exactly.
That's a powerful vision, but it's not going to be easy.
No, it won't.
They've got all the resources, the money, the influence.
But we have something they don't. The power of ideas, the spirit of innovation, the pursuit of freedom.
And you think that's enough?
I believe it's all we need.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What can they do to be a part of this?
Educate yourself. Learn about Bitcoin, blockchain, the decentralized future.
Get involved. Support the projects and organizations you believe in.
Don't be a pawn in their game.
Don't let them control your money, your data, your life.
Take control.
Take control of your own destiny.
The future is in our hands.
It's time to build the world we want to live in.
It really is.
That's it for this deep dive, folks.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We've pulled back the curtain, exposed the truth. Now it's up to you what you do with it.
Absolutely.
Stay curious, stay vigilant.
And stay empowered.
We'll see you next time.